Hey, all my Gemini friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your March 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Gemini, I'm talking about Gemini house system based on Gemini rising. This is also applicable for Gemini sun and Gemini moons. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in Gemini, this video is also applicable for you. When I mention dates and times, I'm referring to the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. So let's jump in Gemini, where the month starts off where February left off with a conversation in your house of career between Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury. This, to me, is very much speaking of an opportunity to really dig deep into the kind of work you're doing. And is that work authentic to your heart, to what you want, to the things that you have, someday I'm going to. Saturn here is wanting to start to put roots into your creative endeavors. I think Saturn is also asking for a strong relationship with your, I want to call it spirit, but you might call it source energy, your higher power, God, the angels. And here we have Mercury. All of this is how I'm thinking, how I'm interacting in my everyday activities. This is my workmates, my teammates. It's also how I speak. It's how I learn, it's how I process information. So here, I really think Saturn going through your house of career until like 2026 is a continued series of illuminations as to, are you speaking to your soul with what you're doing with work, or are you somehow still feeling, the need to work for somebody that pays the bills? We see here that this Mercury is going to grow into a sextile. It's already, the sun is in a sextile with Jupiter here in Taurus. Taurus is your 12th house. So this is going to be the house where, Pisces naturally rules the 12th house. So here we see a history here. We see both it inherently in the 12th house of our ancestors, and we see it in the sign of Taurus, where our family history has shaped our confidence and who and what we are. So when this conjunction takes place in this 12th house in April, you're really going to have an opportunity to expand yourself, to liberate yourself, and to use your skills in a way that's very much more authentic to how you feel fulfilled, how you feel purposeful in the world. Jupiter rules we've said it rules expansion. It rules foreign people, foreign places. You could potentially finish a higher education or some sort of certification. You could also start a business. Jupiter rules business. It rules marketing, publishing, influencers. There's just so many things here. And Uranus is always futuristic, and in many ways, unexpected things happen. So this favorable aspect that continues to grow as, the sun and Mercury move into a tighter sextile and eventually a conjunction here. But these things are going to be illuminated for you, Gemini. I also want to mention that we see here the Mars and Venus are traveling together in Aquarius. And this could have you even more, even though there's a square here from Venus to Uranus. I think this is more an internal situation of beliefs, believing in yourself, allowing yourself innovation, allowing yourself to use your skills. And Mars is being tasked with being brave in this situation, meaning I'm brave action, brave thoughts, brave a willingness to look at my self-confidence as I begin to endeavor the things that the 10th house is offering you. Let's go to around the 10th, where we will see the new moon in Pisces. And this is going to happen at 1 a.m. Pacific time. Oops. Now, this is a series of new moons that's been taking place since November at the 20th degree. I really, really think that These are such significant and subtle layers to the landscape of what we're walking through, because this is planting the seeds in the dark. And where is Pisces? Pisces is the house of dreams, that we literally sleep, the bedroom, places we spend time alone. So the things that you have started to garnish as Mercury was moving through this house are going to help you sort of plant new seeds for how you want your everyday life to run. I'm not really, this could be applicable to people who have a way with words and are lyrical. Could be a songwriter, you could potentially be any kind of writer, but here for some reason I'm feeling this is asserting yourself independently towards what you want. Really, that fifth house is the Leo house, naturally, of our own self-expression, the courage to follow our heart. And as Mercury moves into this house and starts to make conjunctions with Chiron in the North Node, this is all going to become very in the forefront of your mind. So planting the seeds in the dark of the new moon for your own personal transformation. And I want to offer it this way because I'm not a big fan of the word release, but I do like the word. I like turning things that have been challenging in my life into tools that empower me, again, to propel myself forward. We also see that Mars just happens to be at the 20th degree of Aquarius. So this also, while it's not in a relationship with the new moon, at the same time, it could very much be bringing brave epiphanies. It could also bring being a little annoyed, a little annoyed. The trine to the South Node, while it's a favorable aspect, could very well be that you are handling an annoying situation well. For instance, potentially, partnerships, the idea of, and this isn't just marriage partnerships, professional partnerships, etc., being egoless to someone else's idea of who and what you are. This is that brave action here that I think is supported. Now, we also see that Jupiter is in a quincunx to the South Node. So this is a little bit of a leap of faith. And of course, here we are in the dark of the new moon. I also want to say this because when we're planting the seeds for a new moon, each house has something to offer us that makes that new moon specific. So as we saw the new moon in Aquarius, these were these epiphanies that we could have, these ideas like, on how to move our story forward. And now this is the final new moon at the 20th degree that really feels like it's planting the seeds for a stronger relationship with my higher power, my inner knowing, my soul, and to start to follow that yearning more intentionally. That's the way I want to put it. We're going to see Venus move into her exaltation on the next day. Let me go back to 12 p.m. So she's almost there. We'll just go to the 12th. She's moved into her exaltation. Now, this is a place where she is in such a welcome guest. I mean, literally all of the finest china, the warm pillows, the music is playing when she enters Pisces, and it becomes a dreamy time to fantasize about how wonderful life can be. So I really feel like there could be ideas that pop, there could be things that come to the forefront, but through some sort of relaxed entertainment, almost as if I'm giving myself permission to let my mind have a rest. Here we see the mind in the house of the self, Aries. And Aries is your 11th house. Naturally, we've come back to the wheel being with this, your first house. Now, I want to also mention this for my Gemini risings. If you know your natal chart in Placidus, the degree of your rising sign is very important, because if you're a late degree Gemini, then the primary first house is really going to be Cancer, and the Gemini energy will be in the 12th house. So check that out, because this is a house where we sometimes feel invisible. We don't feel seen. We don't feel acknowledged. And this is why it's so important to connect to spirit, because it's the natural house of Pisces, in order to connect to a deeper truth. And that truth is that unless we see ourselves, how do we expect others to see us as well? So let's go on to On the 19th, we're going to see the sun move into its exaltation in Aries. There we go. We're at 29 degrees here. Let's just pop this into, we'll do 5 p.m. and see what happens. Oh, let's just go to the next day. All right, here we go. We see the sun has moved into Aries. You know, the sun being exalted in Aries. So everybody who is an Aries sun has the sun in its second highest vibration, where leadership is being offered to you. And that leadership is seeing a sense of self within, you know, within your environment, within what you're creating on this planet. And I feel like this is kind of like Mariah Carey's hero song. The hero lies in you, and the sun in Aries is calling that forth to be a hero in your own life, to allow for your own. We see the sun making this sextile to Jupiter, allowing for the deepest part of yourself to now become the platform for your awareness. And that awareness allows for you to then direct your life with your intention. I almost feel like I want to resist the words evolve or grow because it feels arduous. A point of awareness is very, very much, you know, this Uranian energy. And as Jupiter and Uranus come together in a tighter and tighter conjunction, the closer we get to mid April 24th is when we're going to see the exact degree, and that's even going to last a day or so, day two. So I really feel like there's going to be a wave of awareness. We also see here Venus is now right there up against Saturn, and they're having a very intimate conversation about building a strong foundation, based on Venus's talents, on her skills, on her ability to take her story and capitalize on it. And Saturn both rules history, as does Venus in some respects, because she rules the house of Taurus, and Taurus rules our family history, how our family dynamic shaped our confidence, shaped who we are, and how we feel about ourselves. So this is a very powerful time. I also think that some of the awarenesses that are garnished as a result of the previous conversation that the sun had when it met with Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So back in January, there was a conversation here as the sun was going to move into Aquarius. It was really about looking at those subtle feelings that disempower us, or where we inadvertently give our power to another because fear has us, or the unknown has us gripped. So I think this is super powerful. This conjunction will last for a couple of days. I would give it like a 2-degree, 3-degree orb. So when Venus was at like 9 degrees up until about 15 degrees, this conversation is going to be going on. And, you know, oftentimes people think that Saturn dampens and will, you know, kind of dumb down Venus, maybe even, you know, erode her money. I feel like Saturn's move into Pisces has been a call to really go into that quiet place and address our fears, address where we have doubt, and how do we process that. So here, I'm going to take the higher vibrations of both of these planets and apply it to my skills, my talents, my voice, my ability to create my own resources, my own money, my own sense of security. And as all this happens, Mars will enter Pisces in no short order. But we're going to see on the 25th a lunar eclipse, and I think this is super significant. So here on the 22nd, we see Mars has entered Pisces. Now, most people think Pisces is not a strong sign for Mars. You know, putting the god of war into water, you know, makes steam. But again, I think we're really looking at the transformed version of these planets. I want to say that when Mars was in your first house of Gemini back in 2022 and early 2023, Mars was learning a lot about how he interacts with others and how to be an inspiring leader and how to be more in the hero energy than in that warrior energy. So as it comes into Pisces, now we're seeing the spiritual warrior. We're seeing how excuse me, to use my story, Saturn, to enable me to be a stronger, more connected, higher vibrational energy for balance. That's Venus as well. All right, let's go on to the 25th. And this is at 12 a.m. Pacific time. Excuse me. We see this lunar eclipse. It's the first one of the season. It is at 5 degrees of Leo. I'm sorry, 5 degrees of Libra. I don't know what I was thinking. And I think this is really powerful because it's on the supergalactic center. Excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat. I'm trying not to cough. Gemini, this, Libra trines you. It's a naturally harmonious energy between the two air signs. But here, with the moon being at 5 degrees on the supergalactic center, there's going to be an illumination about the relationship that we all have with ourselves. And here, Libra is your 5th house of romance. So we're going to see you being tasked to really look at how not only do you interact in a romantic way, but how are you expressing yourself? How are you having fun? It's interaction with children, the conception of children. The 5th house is where all the fun in the zodiac takes place, where we entertain ourselves, where we enjoy our hobbies. So when we see this 5-degree Leo degree of Libra, this Libra is your 5th house. How are you creating balance for yourself between your everyday life, what you do every day, and how are you nurturing yourself, creating harmony, peace, a sense of joy, a sense of fulfillment? I think this is really powerful. We're going to see the South Node go over the supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra. Anybody who has any personal planets or even nodal structure there, it's a very powerful point for connecting with oneself. And that depending upon the planet will give you an idea of what that focus in the relationship is. Here, it's my emotional body, my self-nurturing, my trusting my intuition, my ability to be fertile and create. And this full moon is going to illuminate something. We're also going to see all of these planets migrating through, this Pisces, and then into Aries, Taurus, and then finally into Gemini. So this is all going to come up on you in the months to come. So the things that become illuminated now are the platforms for what you can create moving forward. Okay. And I think the final thing that I want to say about this is that when we look at the moon on this particular day, it is making a trine to Pluto. And I feel like this is powerful because Pluto, again, is that underbelly of the psychology that holds me back, where I feel power, where I feel controlled, where it doesn't even have to be outside of myself. It could be inside of myself. And here I can really have some kind of genius, sort of epiphany, sort of this wild inspiration that feels liberating to me. Now we see the moon is making a square and a half to Uranus. So sometimes I think that the epiphanies we have that release us also put us in conflict because they illuminate something that isn't working. And in order to find the balance and to feel as if I'm thriving, I've got to really be aware and address that which might be holding me back or having power over me that I don't always see or acknowledge. I also want to say, when we look at the sun here, we see the sun is making a favorable aspect as well to Pluto. So this kind of, is the good news that Pluto, when we look to Pluto and we start to think of Pluto's transformation from the caterpillar to the butterfly, while it's never easy, the end result is so incredibly. You ask anybody who's been through a Pluto transformation, and more times than not, they say they're better off for it. So here, the sun is offering more leadership, more individuality, more sense of yourself. And there's, even though this is an opposition between the moon and the sun and an eclipse, which is a fated event, this relationship that the moon is offering in your 5th house with your own personal joy and pleasure is revolutionary for you. That's, I guess, the what I want to say in a nutshell. And all of this is teeing up the energies that are going to move us into April and then into May. And when we get into June, Jupiter will move into your first house. So that is really powerful because it's a year of expansion. It's a year of, going new places, both maybe potentially physically traveling or just adopt. You could start a new business. There's so many things that could happen under Jupiter's influence. All right, my Geminis, that is it for March 2024. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below. Just reach out and I'll send you all the information and rates. And please join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we do an angel reading and pull a tarot card for each sign to get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. All right, everybody, please like, subscribe, share these videos. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful March, my Geminis. I will see you soon.